Hello, so I just wanted to give you a little new tool in your repertoire, and if I ever indicate this specific type of stretch, it's considered PAILS and rails, I want you to utilize it. And so I'm going to just go over a few major ones that's quite likely, and these are just problem areas for most people, is hip flexor and chest and lats. And so if you can team this up, it just changes the way that you think about stretching. And most of the times, whenever it is a static stretch, it shouldn't totally be static. You should be focused on deep breathing. You should be focused on trying to actually even pull the opposite side muscle, and that's kind of what we're going to be doing here. So it's progressive angular isometric loading. And so what you're going to do here is you're going to actually progressively go from 25%, 50%, into 75 into 100%, pushing into this muscle, and then you're actually going to go to the rails, which is the opposite, and you're going to go pulling away from it. So when you look at these movements, it'll kind of make more sense, but there's always an agonist and an antagonist. And so in the hip flexor case, you're going to feel on that hip flexor stretch that you're pushing into whatever chair, whatever you're actually set up on, and you're progressing that intensity. And then you're actually, when I tell you to pull, you're going to pull the opposite. You're going to pull the hamstrings. You're going to lean back into your quad, and what it does is it actually gets into really your muscle signaling, and it will kind of disengage a signal that would normally be there to prevent that stretch. And it's actually going to promote a new length a little bit better, especially if we keep focusing on that deep breathing. And so take a look at some of these stretches and start to implement it for yourself. So here I'm going to do a slightly faster version of it, but essentially I would go in 25%, 50%, 75%, and then 100%. I'm holding it for about 5 to 10 seconds each. And then you see how I step forward. I actually pulled my scap back and I relaxed my lat. So it's a matter of activating for about 20 seconds progressively, and here I've relaxed it. Now I'm pulling my scap behind me, and you'll notice when you relax that contracted muscle, it's far looser. So again, I'm going to the other side. I'm pushing my hand into the wall right now, and I'm trying to find it so that that lat gets a really good solid grip. My rib cage is down, that's why I put my hand on my rib cage, just to remind me to breathe into my ribs, and then I progress into it a little bit more, and I pull that. This is where I'm doing the regressive. I'm pulling away from it now and relaxing, and I'll do the same thing with the chest here. My hand is pushing into the wall to activate my chest, and I'll find a nice little angle that I can feel both a stretch, but also now I can actually get a good grip to push into my chest. I progress from, you see I'm pushing harder, and actually there I was pulling back at that point. So I stop pushing and I start pulling my scap back. So my traps are pulling the chest away from the wall. So from here, I'm going to progress, go 25, 50%, 75%, 100%, and then I pull. And when I pull, I actually am pulling that scap back, and I try to go really deep into that stretch. And once you've gotten that new length, make sure you take a good amount of time to breathe into this new length, because the breathing will be a great cue for this new adaptation. So in the hip flexor couch stretch, I am actually going to be pushing into my hip flexor by actually kind of like as if I'm pushing my knee forward, and now I'm pushing my toe into that bench. And again, progressively 25, 5 seconds, 50 for 5 seconds, progressing all the way to 100 for 5 seconds. And then I'll actually pull. And when I pull, I'm pulling my hamstring, I'm pushing my glute forward and doing all the opposite. You'll feel like a really nice deep stretch. And again, use the breath at that point. Now that you found this new length, breathe in and out. Really try to imagine you're breathing into that new length of the muscle and trying to help your body feel comfortable at this new length.